little bit of background, and I'm about to age myself real quick, but I spent my first 20 years when I got into this type of field, as far as like entertainment, social media, in radio. Radio One, shout out to my Radio One fam. But yes, 20 years. I started off as a board operator, and then I moved myself up to on-air personality, and then I became a producer slash on-air personality. Needless to say, that was probably one of the most funnest times I had in my life. And of course, due to COVID and me moving down to Atlanta, that part of my life came to an end. So that was me in my radio days, and now I'm jumping into YouTube. And to tell you the truth, it is a different ball game. Now I'm in front of the camera instead of behind it. I don't have to rely on just the microphone. I have to rely on the microphone and the camera. That's the reason for this setup, because honestly, I feel more comfortable talking into a mic, right? It's just something about that just is, or maybe it's the nostalgia feeling of just being in radio and talking in front of the mic. So that's why my setup is almost kind of podcasty style. So I wanted you to be able to listen to me as well as do your other stuff that you're doing, cleaning the house, driving in the car, etc. Because that's how I listen to YouTube channels. And today I'm going to show you how to build your YouTube content like a radio personality. So first things first, your show clock. Everything in radio, every minute is accounted for. And that's the way you should do it in your YouTube channel. So building your show clock might start off like this, right? So in radio, traditionally, we'll give ourselves an hour to plan that hour. And in that hour, we have to play the songs that are in the show clock. We have to do the tags that are in the show clock, the commercials that are in the show clock, and what we want to talk about in that show clock, right? So typically, how we started off in the front end, the 00, that's your intro. You have to identify yourself. You have to identify the station that you're with. It's legal. You have to do that within the first 5 minutes of you even opening up that mic. Then we might start off with the song. And then from there, we'll cut in from the song, and then we'll start to talk about who you are, who you're listening to, and what is coming up next. And so we tease you, right? However, with YouTube, it's a little bit different. You still should build your clock far as like, okay, if you're doing it 20 minutes or you doing it in 10 minutes, all of those minutes should be accounted for, so you'll be able to hit everything that you're going to hit. So how I do mine is that I create an outline as far as what I want my YouTube video to be. The show clock, right? That show hour. And then I account for the different bullets that I want to hit in the first, the middle, and then the ending. So if you see many YouTube videos, they always tell you that the first thing you need to do is hook your audience in. Don't spend too much time telling them who you are. They can read the description of who you are, what you've done, and what they're going to get into. Get into the video. I know that when I watch YouTube videos, and if you spend too much time in your intro as far as telling me, I'm skimming through it. I just want to get to the meat of what you are trying to say. And that's exactly the way that I am trying to build my show clock. Now, I still kind of get mixed up sometimes because I still come from a radio mind, and it's like, oh, we want to build it in. But no, with YouTube, you want to hit it right then and there. Hook them in, give them the meat, which is the middle, and then end it with their call to action. Step 2, you really want to tease what's coming up next, right? Whether that be a series that you're working on, whether that be a new video that you're working on. In radio, we always tease what's coming up next, right? So in that maybe the first time we might crack the mic open, we might say, coming up next is that new song from Beyonce, or stay tuned because we have a chance for you to win tickets to go see so-and-so here. So that's kind of what you want to do with your YouTube as well, is tease what your videos are going to be about. Tease what you have coming up next. Tease what type of series that you maybe have coming up so that your audience can stick around. So I'm still practicing this on my YouTube page, but I do remember in my radio days when I used to tease what was coming up next, or tease that I had concert tickets on the way, and I asked for callers, them lines would be lit up. You hear me? So I know it works. All right. The third thing I carried over to my YouTube page from my radio days is staying organized. Know what you're going to talk about. Know how your setup is going to be. create that outline, create your bullet format, know what type of music or instrumentals that you want to use. Just know how you want your video to be, whether that is b-rolls, stock footage, different pictures you may have taken, thumbnails. You want to stay really organized. Speaking about one of the things about instrumentals, right? And we call them beds in our radio day because it's like your voice wants to lay on the bed. So just imagine you laying on the bed. That's how you want your voice to be when you use instrumentals or radio jargon beds. Sometimes when I'm listening to a YouTube series or a podcast, I hear that the host uses beds. However, their voice is fighting with the instrumentals that they're using. And that's because they don't understand the concept of using instrumentals in your videos. So if you're going to use music instrumentals or any type of songs, make sure that your voice is not fighting with it and your voice is laying on it like a bed. Next up, you want to watch your filler words. And I do it too. One of my filler words that I notice that I say a lot is like and so. And I might throw an in there every once in a while. Again, I've been away from this type of medium speaking for the last 4 years. So I'm working back and remembering those skills that I used to have when I was precise on the radio, when I could crack that microphone open and I boom, boom, boom. So I'm working on getting back there. So with that, I am bringing over is to watch my filler words. Yeah, so's, likes, and all of those words that you put in the placement when you don't know what to say. So watch your filler words. Next up is staying consistent with your schedule. And I admit, this is one of the hardest things that I have to work on is being consistent. I will hit the ground running with a new idea. I've done everything. I've done documentarian work. I've done community events. I've done hip hop shows. I've started a podcast. I've had my own show. And the one thing that I lacked in all of that was my consistency. That is the biggest thing that I'm working on, is being consistent. And so in radio, I had to be consistent. I had to be there every day working on the same things, hearing the same songs, right? Because consistency is the key, and consistency will give you the results that you want and the results that you need to make sure that your YouTube series is something that you're proud of. Engage with your audience early on. So in my radio days, that is the one thing that you had to do. You had to engage with your listeners, whether that be taking their requests, answering their questions, letting them do shout outs. Everything was about the listener. And that's something that I'm taking here in YouTube. So when your followers post something on your video, respond to them. If they send you an email, respond to them, because people like interaction, right? And so that's one of the tips that I'm taking from my radio days, is that when I do get a comment, and I haven't got one yet, I will respond to you and I will be engaged with you. Lastly, don't forget to have fun. The funnest times that I had in my life was being in radio. It was probably one of the best jobs that I had ever had in my life. The pay kind of sucked, but everything else was just wonderful. So that's one of the things that I'm bringing here to my YouTube page, is to remember to have fun. At the minute that I'm not having fun recording, editing, putting in thumbnails and doing everything, learning, researching about YouTube, that's the time for me when I'm saying, you know what? It's not worth it anymore. Let me pivot and move on to something else. So don't forget, if you're not having fun creating your YouTube series or creating your YouTube persona, reevaluate what you're doing and make sure that you don't forget the fun. So if any of these tips stood out to you and you're going to start to incorporate them into your YouTube making process, let me know below. Go ahead and drop that comment. Even if you're not going to use these tips, I want to hear some of the tips that you may be using to make your YouTube series a success. And remember, we're all figuring this out together. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.